The theory that you are jumping between realities without noticing. What if your life has never been a single, uninterrupted timeline? What if the feeling that time is accelerating, that memories are becoming unstable, or that the world no longer feels exactly the same is not psychological, but structural? There is a theory, deeply unsettling and rarely discussed outside academic circles and speculative physics, suggesting that consciousness does not end when the body does. Instead, it continues by shifting, not forward, not backward, but sideways, into another version of reality. According to this idea, the universe is not singular. Reality does not unfold along one straight line. Instead, every possible outcome exists simultaneously, branching endlessly, creating a vast multiverse of nearly identical worlds. In most of these realities, small choices lead to small differences, but some choices, or events, lead to outcomes that should be final. Accidents, illnesses, fatal coincidences. Yet from your perspective, those endings never arrive. You survive. This concept is known as quantum immortality, a thought experiment derived from the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. While controversial, it is based on a very real principle. At the quantum level, reality does not choose a single outcome. All outcomes occur. If that rule applies universally, then every moment where survival is uncertain creates multiple futures. In many of them, you die. But in at least one, you continue living, and your consciousness only experiences that one. From the inside, it feels like luck. From the outside, it looks like something else entirely. People who come close to death often describe something strange afterward, not just relief, but alienation. A persistent sense that the world feels unfamiliar in subtle ways. Colors seem different. People feel distant. Even their own reflection feels slightly disconnected. They struggle to explain it because nothing is obviously wrong, but everything feels misaligned. Some report noticing small inconsistencies, buildings that look different than they remember, relationships that suddenly feel altered, personal memories that no longer match shared recollections. These differences are usually dismissed as stress, trauma, or faulty memory. But what if memory is not failing? What if memory is accurate, just not for this version of reality? This is where the theory becomes far more disturbing. Across cultures and age groups, millions of people remember the same events that officially never occurred. Brand names spelled differently, famous movie quotes that do not exist, historical details remembered collectively yet absent from records. This phenomenon has been labeled the Mandela Effect. The standard explanation is false memory, reinforced socially through repetition. And while this explains some cases, it fails to explain why large groups remember the same incorrect details independently. The alternative explanation is unsettling. If consciousness can shift between closely related realities, then overlapping memories would be expected. People from slightly different branches would carry remnants of their previous timeline. Memories that are correct elsewhere, but incorrect here. Not because reality changed, because you did. Another recurring report from those who experience this sensation is the feeling of having survived something they shouldn't have. Car accidents with impossible odds. Medical diagnoses reversed without explanation. Situations where survival feels statistically absurd, and yet life continues. The theory suggests that when an outcome would end consciousness, awareness does not experience that ending. Instead, perception realigns with a nearby reality where survival occurred. The transition itself is never perceived. There is no flash, no sensation, no memory of movement, only continuity. You wake up the next day assuming nothing extraordinary happened, but something internal notices the difference, a quiet awareness that reality feels thinner, less stable, almost artificial. Physics already tells us that the universe is not solid in the way we perceive it. At its most fundamental level, reality is probability. Particles exist in multiple states until observed. Outcomes are not selected, they coexist. If matter behaves this way, why wouldn't consciousness? Some researchers argue that consciousness is not generated by the brain, but filtered through it. If that is true, then awareness may not be tied to a single physical instance. It may move, not spatially, but probabilistically. This raises a troubling implication. If you always experience survival from your own perspective, then there are countless realities where you did not. In those worlds, people mourn you. They continue living without you. Your absence becomes part of their history. You never experience those timelines again, but they exist. This could explain an increasingly common feeling in modern life, a sense of disconnection, detachment, or unreality, as if the world has lost coherence, as if something essential has fragmented. If consciousness has shifted repeatedly over time, then the accumulated differences between realities would grow. Each jump would introduce subtle inconsistencies. The world would still function, but it would feel less authentic, like a degraded copy. Some theorists connect this idea to simulation theory. If reality is a simulation, then continuity of observation may be prioritized. When consciousness reaches a termination point, the system redirects awareness to the nearest valid timeline where observation continues, not as a reward, but as a requirement. Observation keeps the system running. This could explain why time perception changes as we age, why years feel compressed, why global events feel surreal and disconnected, as if happening in a poorly rendered environment. It could explain why reality feels increasingly unstable, socially, culturally, existentially. Because from the perspective of consciousness, it has become exactly that, unstable. If this theory is correct, then there may be no final death, only endless continuation across increasingly divergent realities, each version slightly stranger than the last. Not because reality is changing, because you are moving through it. You would never notice the jump itself, only the residue it leaves behind. A memory that doesn't fit, a detail that feels wrong, a persistent sense that this is not quite the world you remember, which leads to the most disturbing possibility of all. The reality you are in right now may not be the one you started in. It may be one of many survivable branches, selected not by destiny, but by probability. And every time you narrowly escape harm, every time you walk away from something that should have ended you, the illusion of continuity is preserved, while countless other realities are abandoned. So the next time something feels slightly off, the next time history doesn't match your memory, the next time you wonder how you survived something impossible, consider this. You didn't avoid the ending. You transitioned around it, and you may have been doing it your entire life.